Joining me now is bed bug extermination expert, chief executive of Spotter, Robert Fryers. Welcome, Robert. Now, you brought some little friends with you.
Yes, I have. I thought you might be interested to see what they're like.
Disgusted to see what they're like. The first thing I would say, we need to get into the details of this story, but just as an initial observation, they're much bigger than I thought they were.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Can we see the size of them there? We'll put your finger next to them so we get a kind of... Look at that. Much bigger than I thought. I thought they were almost invisible.
So, no, about the size of a ladybird, but flatter.
Dear.
Yeah, people think they're tiny because they don't see them, because they're so good at hiding, but they're actually surprisingly big.
Yeah, and so why has France, but mainly Paris, why has Paris become infested by them?
I mean, bed bugs have been around since prehistory. They were in the caves with us in hundreds of thousands of years ago. But since the mid-90s or so, we've seen a steady increase in bed bug activity continuously as they become more resistant to pesticides, and some of the older pesticides were starting to get banned. It took a big drop during COVID because they travel around, they hitchhike on people's bags, clothes. So if you're not travelling, like we all weren't, then actually it dropped back down. But this summer, there's been a really busy tourist season and they've come back with a vengeance. Yeah,
well, don't open that lid. What do they feed on? Is it human skin, am I right?
They feed on blood, like mosquitoes, like many other species. So
what kind of a life is that?
Yeah.
But, sorry, carry on.
Yeah, so they feed on blood. It's the only thing they eat, in fact.
And and they get their blood from people?
People and other mammals, but yeah, obviously we care about them when it's in people's, and they live in beds, they live in trains, they live in hospitals. Wherever people are stationary and asleep, then that's where they're likely to be. And
do we have a problem with the Eurostar? Will they hitch a ride on the train?
And there are already bed bugs in London. They always have been. So every major...
But are there some that speak French now?
So, I mean, they've been travelling around increasingly, we have a great city here, right? We have millions of visitors coming in from all over the world. Some of them are hitchhiking with them, and the same going back the other way. And Paris has had a really big problem.
Yeah, so is the Paris's problem, its particular problem right now, is that because they've had this sort of a dustman strike? They've got litter and piles of rubbish all over the streets?
Yeah, it's a great question. It's really interesting. People think that they're linked to dirtiness and poor hygiene. They're actually not. They're disgusting, absolutely, but they're not related to cleaning particularly. You can control them a little bit with cleaning, but the thing you have to do is vigilance. So early detection is the key thing for dealing with them, and the challenge they've had because of massive influx of tourists and loads of travel in Paris, and they weren't in a position to really prevent that by having preventative measures. That's why it's exploded. We have an opportunity in London now, but it hasn't quite reached the same peak. If we get in, be proactive about it and start using perhaps some new technologies or other approaches to really be on the alert, we can prevent that same thing happening here.
Well, given that, thanks to the Eurostar, we may be susceptible to an invasion of bed bugs from France, of French bed bugs, another reason I hate the French, right? I mean, what could we do to prevent this?
Vigilance is the really key thing. But one of the things I've always said, if you're travelling away and you're staying in a hotel, you're coming down to London, you shouldn't have to think about this stuff, right?
Yeah, right.
It's the property managers, the Mayor of London, these are the people who should be getting on top of this for us. So, and actually that's where, what we do, we provide monitoring solutions so that you can catch it early. It's a bit like the testing in COVID, right? Yeah. If you are always checking, you're always looking, you catch it early, you treat it, you prevent the spread. And that's what this guy does, which is for...
What is that? Yeah.
So this is a monitor for bed bugs. So this fits in... I'll just bring that under there. There we go. So this attracts the bed bugs in. It identifies it. So this is... We make an AI system that will identify whether it's a bed bug.
And then tracks them... What is it? Attracts them in?
Exactly, yeah. So they crawl up.
What do you do? Put some blood in there?
Here. So there's a pheromone that bed bugs are attracted to. Yeah. So they crawl inside there, it detects them, and then it transmits that to the hotel manager, the train operator, whoever needs to know, so that they can get in and deal with it early.
So is that a little bit like the famous Roach Motel? They check in, but they can't check out?
Yeah, they can't get out.
Cockroaches go in, they're lured into this contraption, and then they can't get out. It's a bit like that.
And the big difference then is that we've got some smart AI systems in there that will report and tell people about it, rather than someone having to go and check it.
So if I had an infestation of bed bugs in my bed, in my bedroom, and I put that in there, that might help?
It would tell you that you've got it. I mean, most people at home already know it. The people who really need this are the people who are running big buildings. You're a star, you're the underground, you're a big hotel manager. You want that in so that if a guest does bring them in by mistake, you know about it and you fix it soon before it spreads.
And why are they called bed bugs? Is it because they live in beds?
Exactly, yeah. The most common place to find them is behind the headboard in the bed frame of a bed.
Why do they like to live in beds?
It's close to where they feed. It's when we're asleep.
So and then they feed on us?
Yeah, absolutely.
So they bite?
Yeah, they bite and they suck blood. So when these ones are recently fed and you see they're large and swollen and they're black colour here. Yeah, they are. I
mean,
grim.
all God's creatures and all that, but they are really, really disgusting, aren't they?
Yes.
And you know, they're notorious for making us itch and scratch.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Is that's in the same way as mosquitoes?
Very similar. Very similar. Yeah.
Yes. Now, we got a comment here from Alison in Cumbria. She said, I'm a pest controller in the Lake District. We've had more bed bug jobs this year than ever before. I'm afraid the problem is already here. And yes, it always makes us itch.
Yeah.
Well, why, you know, I know we alluded to the Parisian rubbish problem, but, you know, it does seem as if they're on the rise generally. Why is that?
Resistance to insecticide and warmer weather and more international travel. Those three factors together, they breed and grow quicker when it's warm. They hitchhike on people travelling, so we had a massive summer for tourism across all of Europe, Paris and London. Like, that's just causing more circulation of them, and I'm sure the ladies just coming from the Lake District, it's, you know, people travelling, them hitchhiking, them unknowingly taking them with them.
OK, so I've got bed bugs in my bedroom. I hope I haven't, but theoretically I have.
Yeah.
We've detected it with your contraption. How do you get rid of them?
There are two main methods that people use to treat them. So one is with chemical pesticides, and they can be effective, but of course, you know, you're using a pesticide in a bed and you may not want to do that. The other thing that companies do is use a heat treatment. So you basically wrap up everything in the room and heat it up to 65 degrees. That's effective, but it's quite expensive to do. It's very time consuming.
Well, listen, thank you very much for coming in for this disgusting visit. Thank you to Robert Fryers.